Gosh, you guys are lighting up the chat already. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Mikey Wine here. You guys know me as Gundam Works, and we are live. Part 21, chipping, starting the weathering process. I did all the, after last week, I finished all the paint and decals and clear coats, and now we're ready to start the weathering process, and that means I've got to start doing some chipping. So I'm going to try to go down the comments here. We got quite a few already, and just in fuzzy, yeah. This one, the first one in, I must say, that was like 2 days ago, so that's kind of cheating, but that's all good. It's all good. I appreciate it nonetheless. Julius is in as well, and let's see, and we got Nick in there too. How's it going, guys? Good to see you as always. And let me go down the comments here and see what we're talking about. But he says it'll be interested to see if he uses a specific product or hairspray. Looking forward to some dry brushing as well. I have done a little bit of dry brushing. That's this one here. Daily Kona clock. Let's see here. Julia says usually it's paint, and you would be correct, sir. I'll be using Mr. Color number 29, which is whole red. It's kind of like a primer. To me, it looks like a primer color. So I like to use that as a basic, the first kind of color to put on there. I can do some additional colors as well to look like layers of paint. When you go through primer and paint, there'll be different colors. You'll see there. Mike is awesome with pigments and washes as well. Thanks, Julius. I appreciate that. And then Nick says, "Hey guys, hey Nick, hello everybody, hi," and we're all saying hi. And then we got Giovanni in. Giovanni, how you doing, Giovanni? Good to see you as well. And so yeah, welcome in, guys. So yeah, we're gonna start doing some chipping tonight, and I will be using, as far as like the entire process, there will be some pigments, probably, most likely, absolutely, and then also some of the Tamiya Weathering Masters. I like to use those as well for some highlights and streaking effects. It makes it a little bit easier. I do have quite a few AK products and some MIG stuff for grime and stringing effects. We may use that as well, but I think primarily for the burn effects of, I like to think of a tank that is burned from the inside out. You'll see there will be some ash, there will be some other rusty kind of looking pigments and things like that. So all that combinations will come together and make it. I like to cheat on chats. Yeah, you cheated all right. It's like 3 days ahead of time. That's awesome though. Believe me, I appreciate it. So let's go down here and we'll just show this off right away. So paint is done. This is all assembled and glued now. Instead of having everything just kind of snap together where I could remove it, artist pastels. Let me bring this up on chat here so everybody can see it. Artist pastels, chalks are very good, cheap substitute for weathering powder. That is true. You can use that. You can use pastels and use like a scraper or a razor blade or something like that to create a powder, scraping it off and make your own pigments and things like that. I have several pigments, my go-to stuff. I do have a few that are for weathering and darker effects, but a lot of the powders I have are also for earth type colors, like for ground pigments and things like that. And then we'll be using all of that with this piece. So I have assembled all of the pistons here as well. This is the portion of the head that it will be in the ground when I'm done. I will most likely make some alterations to these because these are obviously in perfect position. But I think I'm going to slightly disassemble them and deform them because I wanted to make this look like something that has been ejected from the torso. So there's going to be obviously some damage to these piston areas that you would normally see with something that has been removed forcibly. So there's a little bit there. On the base, I have made necessary I removed some more material so this sits in the proper place, and I can actually show that in a minute. But for now, let me just get rid of this comment here. I'll just bring this up so everybody can see it. So I've got the exit there. The twin, actually two exits. You've got a smaller one in the back. The number insignia is there, decals. This one here, there's also a couple, if you see inside of the lens, there is one inside. Now I've also misted, not the entire lens, but some of the portions around it, so you can still see through to see the eye, but it is faded a little bit with that, and with the use of pigments, that'll get a little bit dirtier as well. So here is the entrance there, and there is some dry brushing there around to give kind of like a metallic look to some of the edges there where the damage has going through, and then we'll tone that down a little bit with pigments as well. The rest is just going to be normal weathering around the cables, some chipping and something like that. And like I said at the beginning, I will be using Mr. Color number 29. This is my kind of go-to for a basic primer looking color, something that would be, I do this first. Usually it's the first color that I put down, and I use just a brush. This is a 0. I have several of these. I've even got some longer ones that have a more for maybe doing streaking or striping, but this is a small enough tip that I can get some decent, and at this scale I don't need to go terribly small, but I can also do some really good chipping, and that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to be just mixing this up, get it nice, make sure it's nice and thin, and then just doing some random chipping. And then once those are down, then I can add the streaking effects to those, rust, other things like that. So Fuzzy, let's see, Nick says it's very quiet tonight. Is the mic on? Yes, the mic is on. I'm surprised. Is it quiet? Really? I remembered to swivel it over in front of me. Let me know if that's still an issue, and then I'll check my settings and see if there's something I can do differently. Let me just do that real quick. Let me make sure that my audio is through. No, it's using the microphone, so it looks all good now. So, all right. So let me know. And Fuzzy says, "Damn, looking very good so far. Thank you. I appreciate the compliment." Nail ARR. What is that? Let me know what you mean by that, Fuzzy. Or nail art brushes. I gotcha. Are very good. Bristles 30 millimeter long. Yeah, I actually purchased. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I bought some of these. I haven't used them yet. Let me grab them. These are. I don't even know how to say this. It's Fumiu artist brushes, and let me open these up. Fingernail art. There's some box pastels that have never been used. Giovanni says, "Yeah, I have some stuff like that. I mean, typically I use most of the stuff I buy, but sometimes, yeah, you buy something with good intentions and it sits on the shelf for a little bit, but you never know one of these days." So these it's a set of different sizes. I'm gonna put my magnifiers on so I can see exactly what I'm looking at here. So this first brush is a 0. Actually, that's a 5-0. Then we've got a double 0, 0, and then a 1 and a 3. So obviously the 3 is going to be quite a bit larger. These are actually pretty small. I haven't even used these yet. You can still see them in the package. So I'd be interested to try out. I might actually pull out the 5-0 here, because it's actually a pretty small brush, even smaller than the 0. But for the time being, I'm going to try the 0 and see. It's probably going to be fine. And then we'll do some basic chipping. It's mostly going to be around the cables, obviously around the damage area. And this isn't chipping for the damage per se, that it is just to make the finished look of this like a weathered system that was out in the field. So the chipping that I'm going to be doing will be more for natural wear and tear effects, and then I'll get deeper into the damage stuff. This is, I need to invest in a couple of nice brush sets. Yeah, it never hurts to have some. I have a set of these, which is, they're all the same because these are a nice small brush. So I got about 5 of these, just a simple set. And then I even have some others that, some really, big ones for larger areas that I actually found at my my mother's estate. But when she passed away, I was going through her things and I found that, and I brought those home too. So it's it's always good to have stuff like that, especially different sizes and things. The one thing I'm not certain on is like which type of bristle is the best for either lacquer paints or something like that, or oils and things. So if you guys know of different types that are recommended for those kind of applications, let me know in the chat, and then we can make sure that people see that, and so when they're buying something, they have an idea what they're going for. So in the meantime, I'm going to wet the whistle here just a second, and then we will get started. So I want to make an announcement too. This week, we found out that, actually, good thing I have another bottle of this. I just realized this one's getting pretty low, but I'm going to have to thin this out a little bit. It's still a little thick. I don't know why I use this. I should have used my other stir stick. One that's the wooden one is much easier to use. My work has announced that they will be changing our schedules next month. We are going to be going to a 4:10 schedule. There's nothing I can do about it. And it's going to be on some kind of ridiculous rotation. So the live stream on every Wednesday night is going to change. And I won't know exactly when until I get the schedule, but it will be in 4-week increments. So I might be saying like, okay, next week it's going to be on a Thursday for 4 weeks, and then it'll be on a Monday. I don't know. So it's not going to remain on Wednesdays, unfortunately, because they are doing this new schedule. But that will start next month. So as far as the live stream next Wednesday, I believe that is the 1st. Let's look at the calendar here. Okay, no, we've got 2 more weeks. So the 24th and the 1st of October will be as planned on Wednesdays. No problem there. But after that is when I will be having to change it up. So I'll keep everybody informed. I'll make an announcement as far as what, when the live stream will be. It's not going to be on the same day, but it will be in 4-week increments. So, once I know what day it'll be, I'll say, all right, for the next 4 weeks, it's on this day. And then, I know it's kind of a pain for you guys. I tried to convince them otherwise, but they are just not having it. As businesses go, they're going to change. They're going to do it whether you like it or not, and you can either be on board with it or not. So, maybe it's your end. Yeah, how's it sounding, Nick? Is it getting any better for you? Synthetic brushes, as he says, but it's for alcohol, acrylics, and lacquers. Natural bristles for water-based. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see, what does Julia say here? No worries about the schedule. I'll be there. Nice. Like and subscribe. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I always forget to say that, but for me, I like to make sure that, before I'm telling everybody to like and subscribe and smash that button and do this and do that. I mean, I heard a live streamer one time say something like, why would you ask somebody to subscribe or hit the like button or whatever before they even see what you have to offer? So I've kind of taken that to heart a little bit. I know most people will say that pretty much in the beginning of their videos. I like to make sure that I say it at the end. That way, if you've stayed around long enough to hear it, That's awesome. That means, you know, you like what you see and whatever, and it's worth taking the time to actually do that. But Julius, I do appreciate it every week when you when you throw that up there. I do, believe me, I love that. So thank you so much. All right, let's get started. So make sure this is in camera now. I might have to move things around a little bit like I did last week. Let's see. Let's go. Actually, that's probably good right there. Let's update that position, and then we'll, that way we're not too terribly close to the body. If it gets out of frame, I'll move it again. So I thinned this out a little bit more, and it makes it a little bit easier to use. Now, I know lacquers are not exactly the best thing to be doing hand painting with because they dry so quickly. But I have found that my experience anyway with Mr. Color products is if they are thinned properly, you can use them quite nicely for hand painting. Not large areas, of course, because of the brush streaks, but for chipping and things like what I'm doing, it's perfectly fine. But like I said, if you just thin it properly and get the right amount of, with a brush, you still have a decent flow on the brush, but you can control what, it's not too thin, but not too overly thick either. So you're not applying this big, clumpy application when it's too thick. So, and I will sometimes and most likely use, when I do this type of chipping, I will use multiple colors. Like this is a brown, reddish brown, which is, to me, it reminds me of a lot of primers and things like that. So it makes sense to kind of do chipping effects with this. But then for larger chips, I can use maybe even a metallic paint or a silver, which would signify like going through the primer all the way down to bare metal. So to add a little bit of those little glint effects in those chips, well, to me, it looks like, it kind of reminds me of something that's gone beyond just the surface chips or scratches. And you can even do so much as like, because this is a light green, finding a lighter color of this, maybe even mixing up a special batch of something with a little bit of white in it, to do some lighter scratches where it scratched the paint, but it didn't go through to the primer or go through any further than that. To me, acrylics with retarder works on all guns. Yes, I have. And in fact, that you can do that the other way too. To me, acrylics work really well with Mr. Color leveling thinner as well. So, in fact, when I first started, I used to, when I was getting back into models, Tamiya was my brand. That was all the paints I used, and I didn't know what I was doing in most cases back then. I had no idea what I was doing, so I was thinning it with water and just making a mess. But when I started airbrushing, I didn't have all of the Mr. Color stuff that I have now. And when I bought my first Hasegawa Macross model, that's when I realized I actually went through the color chart there, and they use Mr. Color paints for all of their colors in Hasegawa. So I bought just what I needed for that first Macross model, and then that's when I fell in love with Mr. Color paints and kind of use them exclusively now. So what about brushes for enamel paints? Enamels might run into the realm of, I think enamels is kind of in the middle. You can use it with either or. I mean, most of the things I think I'm using are all synthetic. I don't think these are real bristle. They look like more of a synthetic type. So, but enamels, that's a good question, Giovanni. If anybody has a synthetic are best for enamels, okay. So Fuzzy's got the inside scoop on that. Mr. Color, let's see, what's this here? Mr. Color, there will turn your alcohol-based acrylics into partial lacquers. And that would be, well, even Tamiya's are water-based, or water-based acrylic, or I think water-based acrylics or lacquer-based. I can't remember. But anyway. Oh, later, fellas. Sorry about a wild night. Okay. Thanks for stopping by, Nick. Sorry you jet so early. Catch you next time. So what I'm basically going to do is apply chips to areas that, to try to make this look like normal wear and tear. Keeping in mind that panel separation, where these hatches would open, like this cross piece, the whole nose section would open up. There's even a hinge here. You can see where the hinges are for serviceability. So there's going to be chipping where those two panels come together, not to mention just chips that happen out in the field. But when these panels are open or moving, things are going to rub together. So I'm kind of keeping that in mind as I go through. To me, those are alcohol-based acrylics. Okay, that's what I forgot. Wednesdays or Thursdays will be here. You'll be here if I'm on Wednesday and Thursday. So we're still good, Giovanni? Yeah, like I said, I'll find out. The schedule is going to be on some rotation, and we're going to have 3 different schedules. So 1 week, 4 weeks, I'll be on this one schedule, working maybe Monday through Thursday, and then the next 4 weeks will be Wednesday through Saturday or something like that. It's just, we don't know yet. And I will say nobody's really happy about it at work. So we've been having these talks. Name tablet, like sponge chipping. Yeah, sponge is good. If you can manage to control it. I think sometimes when I've used sponge bits, I tend to use small pieces and maybe put them in a set of tweezers or something like that. But when they get saturated, it starts to get, you have to make sure they're not getting too much paint on when you're doing the chipping. So just to get an idea of what we're starting with here. So now you can see, I'm trying to get the angle right. Just this small section here. And then I will add some rust streaking and things like that with these small chips as we go. I may even do some filter, maybe a filter fade or a little bit of some oils. I have some Starship Filth oils that I've used for various projects, and they work really nicely. Yeah, what Age LV? What is a name tablet? Oh, let's hide that. I gotta go up here and hide this one. There we go. Yeah, that's a good question. What is a name tablet? Type of sponge. Oh, form makes. Yeah, it does make a big difference. Yeah, I'm using stuff like this. This is just it's not real dense. You can tear it. I tend to tear off a piece and then kind of pick out a little bit to get various types of chipping effects with it. But most of the time I do everything by hand. I think I have more control with what I'm doing based on I think last time I used a sponge, I kind of tend to get carried away a little bit. And it's, for me, at least with a brush, I can control the application a little bit better. I think you're right, Fuzzy, though. The type of sponge definitely does make a difference. It's not going to be too overly chipped because there's going to be a lot of layers here. So I want to I can always come back and put more on, but to start with. Just want to get, basically the edges. There's going to be some random chips on the corners and where parts rub together. That's the main thing. There's going to be quite a bit more on the area here where this cable has been separated. I think that's important to make sure, because when this piece is going to be laying on the ground, so there's going to be some chipping here as well as this side. But there's a section here. There's actually this little section. There's two pieces that are connected, and one of them that's not. I'm not sure how I'm going to utilize that and put it on the board yet, or on the base, but we'll figure that out. I'm going to try for the first time do camo on an HD kit. Okay, is that going to be? Are you going to do it by hand, or are you going to use a stencil? Just out of curiosity. Yeah, camo. Just keep in mind of the scale. I mean, obviously, we're talking about 60-foot war machines here, so the pattern might be slightly smaller. I guess it depends on what you're going for, but camouflage can be a little bit tricky, just in terms of scale, to get it right, but some of these chips will be covered up with pigment and other, pastels and things, but this is the first layer, the first step of the weathering process, is getting some of the darker chips down. Stencil, huh? All right. I'd like to see that when it arrives. Let me know, because I have a few random stencils that kind of modeling patterns for doing aircraft and things, or staining concrete or whatever. So I'm curious to see what pattern it is when you finally get it. And there's not going to be too much extra chipping around where the damage area is, because that's going to be fresh damage. There might be a little bit of primer, but for the most part, being that that's fresh damage, is going to be covered up with scoring and like soot and stuff like that. We'll be posting a video of my camel painting 35th scale RX-78 arm. Oh, nice. RX-79, excuse me. Yeah, that's one kit I haven't been able to find, is that 135th. That's a hard graft too, right? Yeah, it is. Of the arm. I've seen those used. Really nice display. I saw somebody really did a great job of that. I can't remember the artist, but man, it was awesome. It was like a little workshop area, scene with that that arm being worked on by a couple of crew guys. It was really nice. Really nice. Okay, so this is where we're starting with. Right now, it kind of looks rather stark because it's a bright color versus the the background. But once I start adding pastels and things, this will tone it down quite a bit. The anti-mix squad set. Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up. See if I can ever find it, because I think the hard graft kits are kind of underrated. They're really nice. as far as like the 1/35 scale stuff. It just seems like, for what you get it's a nice decal sheet, things you just don't see in most HG sets or even Gundam set kits. You just don't see. You don't even get decal sets in most HD Gundam kits, but for some reason these 35th scale hardgraph stuff is just awesome. Even like the little tanks, like this guy, It's the 144. Just the level of detail on this scale is it's pretty cool. I like it. A little bit of chipping around this window frame here. Like I said, I don't want to overdo it. First time I did chipping on a kit, it was a Master Grade Freedom Gundam, and I took it apart and I did all the chipping by hand with like a Pitograph pen rather than paint. I just did black chipping. It all looks great, and then I put the entire kit together, and it looked like, and I will quote one of my friends who said it looked like he was doing jumping jacks in an asteroid field. It was just like I had completely overdone it. So it's a little goes a long way, is what I'm trying to say. Let's see. Fuzzy says, I've really struggled with the figures. I'm going to replace them with Gecko models, modern inventory sets. That's cool. Yeah, I'm not sure how these guys are going to turn out. I've got them right now. I've got them all separated into little baggies per, that way I don't mix up the pieces that go for each individual character. But I'm really hoping that they come out nice. We shall see. All right. I think I'm going to move down to do a little bit on the head here on the top, but I'm kind of holding on to it, so I don't want to get my fingers in it. I'm going to move over to this cable here and do some chipping there. Not going to be too much, but there will be some between the joints. And this dries pretty quickly too, so gives you a little bit of leeway. So once you apply it, a few minutes later, it'll be dry. Now these cables, of course, these sections are made to open, so there's going to be some chipping between these panels, where the hinges are. I try to think about real world type, where panels open and close, where they rub together and things like that when you're doing this. And just apply a little bit and then take a look, move it away, and just take a look at it for a second, make sure you're in the right track, and then just keep going forward. And the figure is definitely not your strongest area. Yeah, that makes two of us. I'm trying to get more practice on figures, especially even larger scale, like some of the macros stuff from Good Smile. I say Good Smile, but Max Factory, like the 120 Hikaru and Misa, Minmay, those figure kits. I have this paint set here, and I haven't used it yet. I'm dying to actually try and use it, but this is a Mr. Color anime flesh tone set. So there's 4 different colors and a little tutorial that kind of tells you how to, different ways of trying them out. You basically have 4 colors, and they're all like different skin tones that you start with, and then using the darker ones for shading and stuff like that. So it's a nice little set. I haven't tried it yet. One of these days I'm going to do a big enough figure where I can actually effectively use that. So give it a shot. I'll take a break here and clean my brush just for a second. It's starting to dry out a bit. Chipping with enamels is quite good. Yeah, correct mistakes. Yeah, you're definitely right about that. As far as like making a mistake, you go back over it. I use the odorless enamel thinner, which is fine. But I do have some white spirits from AK. I guess I could use that too. But I typically use enamel stuff for reverse washes or things like that, where I know if I make a mistake, where I can remove excess paint with that. Fish forever. What's up, buddy? I'm that one fish person. Nice. Good to have you, sir. We're just doing some chipping here on this 1/35 scale Zaku head. Actually, before I go any further, I want to cap this real quick so I don't knock it over. I'm going to show the base here and how this sits in. So this is a piece of foam that I have dug out. This will go on a wood base as well. But basically this is going to sit. I'll reposition it once I get it set in there. So this is going to come on now. Put that down in there. Okay, there we go. So this is basically going to sit like this. Okay, so there'll be a little bit of those pistons and stuff exposed underneath here. Some of that's going to be filled in with dirt and stuff. But the cables will sit on the ground as such. I don't know if I'll have that section here. I may not. I may split it up, or I may not use it. It may be just lost. I might embed it in the ground. We'll see how that goes. This side is going to be embedded in the dirt quite a bit, so that when I put when I apply this stuff here, this desert sand AK, hopefully I've got enough in this jar to cover this whole thing. I'll be filling in a lot of these areas around where the head sits, but that's pretty much there. And then I've got, this is where the tank's going to be. So if we go back out to just the down look here, let me set this down, and then I'll bring the tank over so you can kind of see where this is going to sit. Don't drop the tank. So the tank will sit somewhere around here, like so. So the head will be there. Some of the figures will be standing around here, kind of looking at their achievement as far as taking this Zaku head down. I'm not sure where this will be turned or angled at. And then I may even have, if I don't put a figure here in the seat, I may just close the hatch on the top where the commander sits. I left the hatch off in case I close it and have him standing up outside. So we'll see. If I've got him in the seat, then I'll leave the hatch open. But then I've already closed up the driver's hatch because I'll have him standing outside. But fish forever. Do I have any pets? Why does that really matter? No, actually, I don't. Displaced, not displeased. Damn autocorrect, right? Remember the odd, or remember to add the displaced dirt. Yes, well, that's what I'm going to do with pigment. So when I put down, actually, let me put that on screen, then I can talk about it. Yes, with the head impacting the ground, that's what I want to do. So once I get the sand down, then I'll use pigments to give that effect of dirt being blasted away. And do it that way. Oh, you were just asking. Okay. Cool. Anyway, so that's the basic. And I've got a round plank, was actually like a clock blank, that I'll be using to secure this to. And then I may either just paint the sides of this black or just run. I probably won't run the sand over the edge. I'll probably just cover this up because it's kind of a rough edge. It's sanded, but it's not perfect. I don't think I'm going to try to fill it with any wood. I may or may not do that, but I think I'm not going to spend that much time trying to get the edges of this perfect. I think what I'll do is just paint the sides black and have the sand come up to the edge and fill in the edges around it, and then use pigments to look like that blast of dirt from the impact. At least that's my initial thought on that. All right. Okay, let's get back to chipping now. Give this a quick stir again. Oh, the cap came off. Sometimes these Mr. Color caps separate. Let's go down close up again. All right. Because he says, I love dioramas. Models sitting by themselves just ain't right. Yeah, I was kind of brought up from the guys in California, those Gundam guys. They kind of drilled in that in your mind, the whole part about presentation. And even though, some like IPMS chapters or competitions don't, unless it's a diorama, they don't judge the base. But I believe that presentation goes a long way as far as like how to judge a model. The base has a lot to do with presentation. Just giving it that much more, little bit of, even if it's just a nice thing. I mean, it doesn't have to be like something that looks realistic to the environment. Just a nice base, not one of those. What is it? Those action bases. I'm not talking about something like that. I'm just talking about a simple wood base or something to set it on versus just having it hanging out on a piece of plastic or standing on its own. It just gives it that much more of a little bit nicer presentation, which goes a long way, I think, with me anyway, as far as if I was judging. Right now, I'm just kind of doing these edges where these cables would not rub together so much, but the corners where, sand and things are going to wear and tear on it a little bit. Now, this is all glued together again. The head here, everything's been glued on. So the only thing that moves is this cable here. This one's all fixed. This side will also swivel in case I need to adjust the angle where these cables meet the ground. Good diorama base is a work of art on its own. Yeah, that's true. That's true. They say that's what I like about, what does this say here? That's what I like about the SF 3D models. Most of the best builders put them into dioramas. Oh, cool. You'll have to send me a link or something so I can check that stuff out. Probably haven't seen it. Because, real life gets in the way sometimes. You can't see everything. Sometimes I miss certain things. Just trying to get through the day. Make a living, go home, do it all over again. Yeah, we're going to be working 410s now, so It's unfortunate. I'm really not happy about it, but we'll see. See how it goes. Paint on plastic. Oh yes, Lincoln Wright for sure. Yep, you bet. Lincoln Wright is an amazing builder. He's got the whole weather and grime thing down to a science. Learned a lot from looking at his work, including some of the people that have posted on his page. I did a Maquet kit not too long ago, and I was pleasantly surprised that he was. I was trying to make sure I gave, that I did it some justice. It was the first time doing a Maquet kit, so I want to make sure those experienced builders that do Maquet a lot, I just wanted to give it justice, and make sure it was good. And it was received quite well. I appreciate that. All right. Working my way around here on this cable. Try not to oversaturate the brush, just putting a little bit. The scale Goberhund is coming along nicely so far. Cool. I'd like to see that. I have a couple of Maquet kits still in my stash. There was a builder up here in the Washington area who, unfortunately, he's passed away now, but at the time, he posted on one of the local groups. There was a hobby store out here called Galaxy Hobby, and he was a member of those guys. But at one point, he messaged everybody and says, "Look, my eyesight is getting so bad, I can't build anymore." And it's really unfortunate because you could tell that he really enjoyed doing it. But he basically said, "Hey, I'm going to sell all my remaining kits. Anybody want to come down and buy this stuff?" So I actually went down to where he was and went down to his house and met him and bought a lot of his Maquet stuff, a few Star Wars kits. I actually sold some, gave some as gifts to other friends of mine, but that's a story I'll never forget because poor guy was struggling with his eyesight and he was having some medical issues and things like that. And then one day I was just sitting here and I got a phone call and it was from him, and he was in the hospital. He says he was getting his cancer treatment and he just wanted to talk to somebody. So he opened his phone and my number just for some reason was one of the last ones he had talked to. So he just called me and he was just like, "Yeah, man, they're pumping me full of all this drugs and stuff for cancer," and he was, complaining about the nurses and stuff. But he just wanted somebody to talk to. So I talked to him for about 30 minutes, and then I found out later that he finally did pass away. So I'm glad to have been able to pass on his kits and stuff, the ones, some that I kept and then some that I gave to friends and family just to keep the spirit of, scale model building going. Yeah, but he says, "My eyes are not as good as they used to be." Yeah, none of us are, right? That's why I wear these things. And these are just straight up 2x magnifiers. But I also have these here. These are from Micromark. These are eye adjusters, and let's see if you can see. You can see the lenses move. So when they go in, you turn these little dials, and the lenses move in and out. They go from 0.5 up to 4 times magnification. So They're kind of cool. They're not cheap, but if I need to get in really close, like 4 times magnification, that's what I use. But typically, I just use these. These are just like a 4 or 5 pack I bought on Amazon, and they're readers, 2 times readers, 2 times magnification. They seem to work for most things, but yep, that's one of the byproducts of getting old. You know, unfortunately, your eyesight does not do as well over the years. Okay, so this is going to be mostly exposed. Let's see here. That one. Let's go down to there. Just trying to get this side done. You have to wear 4 times notifications when modeling. Well, yeah, like I said, I do too sometimes too, but depends on what I'm doing. If I really want to get close up and I need to see, like if I'm doing some soldering or something, I need to see what I'm doing. I'll bust out those eye adjusters. Don't use them all the time. It's easier just to throw these on and not have to worry about adjusting them. So I think that's why I end up wearing both sometimes. I've got these little hooks on the top of the head here. I'm going to chip those too as well. What's up? Sorry you're late. No worries, George. No worries at all. Hoping you'd pop in. How's it going, guys? So we're just doing some chipping here. I've pretty much finished this cable. I might add a little bit more. Got to do a little bit around the box back here. I'm going to do just a little bit, not much, because obviously that's in the back. It's not going to get as much as the front would. But now I'm just kind of randomly working around the blast area here. I'll do a little bit of chipping, and then we'll work on this cable. You calling me old? I'm only 50. Well, you're halfway to 100, man. I'm halfway to 110. And George is even older than that. He's working on halfway to 120. Almost. He's almost 60. So work around this frame just a little bit again. These little window frames here on the side. Anywhere where some rocks or dust or blasts, you know, Zakus are pretty dirty and grimy. They're going to get in the thick of everything and be in, you know, urban environments. You got chunks of concrete and buildings and things, so there's going to be pieces flying around. They're going to chip the paint. But one of the things I've been stressing since I started this is just not to go overboard. You can always add a little bit more if you need to in certain areas, but don't want to overdo it. This scale is a little bit more forgiving because it's larger scale, so it's not quite as bad if you add more, because you can even go a little bit larger as far as your chips are concerned. Let's see here. The morning you mentioned your store of hobby tools. Oh wait, is that list public? Where can I find it? Yeah, he's got a list of his models in his backlog too. I'm not gonna lie. He's a lacquer. Oh, you just have to thin it properly, and you know if you make a mistake, you make a mistake. You just roll with it, man. I know. We were just talking about that earlier about using enamels so you can actually, you know, take it off if you have to, because I've sealed everything in lacquer. So if I did make a mistake, I could just easily take some, you know, if I was using enamels, I could take some AK thinner or something and just wipe it off and start over. But I'm just going around just using a small, this is a zero brush, and doing some minor chipping, and then I'll start adding pastels and streaking and other things, pigments and other things to make this look a little more battle damage. It's going to be some burn effects going on here where you have the entrance, especially there will be more around here. Ash. I'm trying to, put a little bit of white ash and some rust. When things burn, like tanks burn from the inside out, they leave behind a lot of ash, white ash. So there's going to be quite a bit of that on the damaged area. George says, I don't have a school or I don't have a store, but I find a lot of my tools on AliExpress. Yep. If you can manage to figure out their website enough, it can be a little bit challenging sometimes to find what you're looking for because their website's not exactly the most intuitive, but they do have quite a bit of stuff on there and for quite good prices, I should say. I purchased a few things from them. I think I got, what did I get last time? I think I got those, I did. I think I got some stencils or something like that. It was the photo etch stencils for doing like Fetty logos and Xeon logos. That's what I got. Painted 3D prints. How you doing? Good to have you. Thank you so much for joining. Use their app. They're very easy to navigate. Yeah. Oh, they have an app, huh? I'll have to try that out. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I had the app. It's been a while since I've been shopping online for anything, really. I have a decent enough backlog of supplies that I haven't had to try to replenish anything recently. So it's one of the things I did especially when COVID was around, was anytime I was at a hobby store, if I saw some leveling thinner, I just picked it up and bought it, whether I needed it or not. And now I have so much of it that's like, friends are like, yeah, I can't find it. Can I get some from you? I remember sending a few bottles out to a few friends during COVID because I had 12 bottles of the stuff, just because I just made it a common practice. Like if I found it, I picked it up because you never know when you're going to see it again. Everything was kind of questionable back in 2020, whether or not. So yeah, it worked out. And most of the paints that I use that I go to a lot, I have more than one jar of it. So, my go-to colors, the ones I use more frequently, like there's like steel and some of the blacks and whites, the flat black, the gloss white, the flat whites, and those I have a lot of color, a lot of bottles of. Some of the like the intermediate blue, I use it mixing a lot of times when I'm doing Macross kits. I just have quite a few of those, so I haven't, only time I need to replenish a bottle every now and then, I'll just go to spray gunner or something like that if I need a bottle of paint. Looks like it's going to be a big model. Well, this is just one portion of it. This is the head of a 1/35th scale Zaku, but this is the only part that's going to be on the diorama. There's a 1/35th scale tank that I'm putting next to it. So yeah, this would be pretty big if it was going to be a complete model, but it is just the head portion that has been forcibly removed and will be laying in the dirt next to the main battle tank. Good question, though. George says, my experience has been excellent, and I'm not paid. I am not paid by them. Just yeah, yeah. We know you're not a paid sponsor for AliExpress, but I have heard you mention them several times in your live stream, so I know that you do use them quite often. I've been stocking up Mr. Color GX 100 and 114. What is so you're using GX line? Is that a metallic paint or What is the GX100 and 114? I'm not familiar with those. So the head doesn't have a body. No, not in this case. It came from the hard graph Rambaral set. This is the box here. Let me actually, I'll just go back out to the, down like here a little bit further away so you can see the whole box art. So this is the, and it comes with, here's the head over here, some figures. I won't be using these figures, but yeah, you've got the head. You can have it undamaged there, or let's see, where do they show it? Do they show it damaged? I think they do. They just show the internals here. If you were looking at the frame, this right here, you could. But I have some of that exposed and some not. Oh, here it shows it damaged. So they actually took it apart and show it damaged on the ground. Various pieces and stuff. So I'm kind of simulating that. That's what we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this brush again real quick. Nice. Thank you. Clear, gloss clear. Giovanni, what are you talking? Oh, that's your GX stuff. Gloss clear and matte. Oh, okay. So yeah, the GX line for clears is very good. In fact, I probably have. Yeah, actually, you know what? I do. That's why I don't use it that often. But yep, there it is, the GX100. And I actually mixed this. That's a gloss, right? Yeah, that's super clear. Those are very good. I forgot because I don't typically use them all the time, but I have a pretty big jar of it here that I have pre-mixed in case once in a while. But I'll use that for touching up if I need a gloss on something that I can just. And here we go again, George. Hand painted on. It works quite well. I don't actually use that for the airbrush. I end up using. I started using Gyno's. Their clears, which are really, really, really good. And so that's the only other product that I'm used mostly besides Mr. Color Stuff. I've been using the primers from Gyno's and the clears. They're just really, really easy to use and very, very, very durable. Sorry, got to go. Great to see you all. Hey, thanks for coming in, Fuzzy. We appreciate you as always. Let us know how it is over there in New Zealand. I appreciate you coming in every week. Appreciate the support and the loyalty. You're awesome. Have a great afternoon for you. I'm pretty sure it's, like I said, it's afternoon for you, I think, down there. And we'll catch you next time. And what's George doing? Is this because I'm using GX Clear to hand paint something? It's just for touching up something and not painting a large surface. It's just mostly for if there was something like a light bulb or something that I needed a lens or something that I wanted to make bright again. If it was flat coated for whatever reason, I could run it over with a touch of that GX Clear and it would brighten it right back up again for top coats. Yeah, I haven't used the GX line for flats. I did get that large bottle of the super clear gloss, but never used the flat. And again, I only use that for basically doing touch-ups and things, or if I need to paint a lens or something that I want glossy. It's easy to do. All right. Sorry, I gotta go. See you. Yep. Catch you soon. Yeah, no problem, Fuzzy. He's out. All right, so let me go back down to the close-up here. Get this out of the way. All right. So what I think I will do, now that some of this stuff, I mean, believe it or not, these chips on this side are dry enough that they're not going to come off on my fingers. They're not going to spread. I'm going to let these sit a little bit more. But I could actually start using some pastels or something on these areas, to look like rust. I'm not going to go overboard with the streaking so much, but I will highlight some of the edges. It will make this the edges of these panels look a little bit more defined by running some pastel over it. So I'm going to move over to my stash here and pull out this little basket I got here. Whoops. Lost it. Okay, so got this little basket in here. I have 4 of my Tamiya kits, and then I've got a bunch of my pigments. This stuff will come out later. I'm not going to use that tonight. That will come in later when we're doing the base work. So soot is nice, but I think oil stain works really well for streaking and things. I use this on the tank, so I will most likely use that again here. And then I've got some orange rust, sand, light rust. Mud works as well too. So, but what I'm going to start with is just the oil stain, and then I've got a little. Actually, I already have a couple in here. Probably just use this guy, but I have a bag of these little makeup applicators that I've used for the. This is like a hot metal blue. What's the other one? Let's see. Yeah, it's burnt red and burnt blue. So I have some that some of these applicators that actually have those colors in them as well. But what I'm going to do initially is I'm just going to take some of this oil stain. I'm going to go over the edges of this. And you'll be surprised how much that kind of highlights and just makes that look. It looks a lot darker on camera, and we'll say that for sure because the camera makes that everything a bit brighter than it is in person. But just by going over the edges and then kind of highlighting the corners, and see how that will make a difference. And then also what I can do is, now that I've got a couple little chips there, I can go down and run streaks off of those chips just by carefully running it down. Of course, and the decals are there too, so this will go right over the top of the decals. I'm going to take this, I'm just going to spin this out of the way just so I can get to this lower area. Or just go along this bottom edge. You guys are probably hearing this dog go crazy in my backyard. Not my backyard, somebody else's, but there's a lot of people that have dogs and they just don't they let them bark all day long. Okay, so now you can run a little bit off of these 3 chips right here. Just going down just to highlight that. I can soften that up a little bit too. I have actually, that's what I use these other little makeup applicators for. I get a little too much on there. You just go back over with a clean one and just soften up those marks. Whoa, that was almost lost. It just rolled right out of my hand. That's funny. I was trying to look at where I was going to go next, and all of a sudden it's like, wow. So I'm going to do this again here. And I'll soften it up. This one here. Yeah, see, that will look nice in combination with once it focuses in. Just to give it a little bit of grime. And then we're going to add pastels and stuff. There's going to be multiple layers to this. We'll add pastels to everything, and that will or the pigments, excuse me, because I am going to still add the burn effects. If we're talking about that, let me grab the my pigments here. I've got a little tray full of just all pigments. All right, so when we get down to the nitty gritty here, this is white ash, and then I have black, burnt umber, burnt rust red. So these are all ones that, in combination with all those pigments together, will make this look like something that's burned from the inside out. Dark steel, I'm not sure I'm going to use that. That's pigment fixer. And then we got smoke. So smoke will go in. I don't know if you guys saw those. Let me start over. So we got white ash, smoke, black, just standard black, burnt umber, and burnt red rust. So in combination, all these things will make this look like it burned from the inside out. That's what I'm trying to recreate. And I say trying is because I hope it works out. We shall see. We shall see. All right. So George, nice save. Yeah, that was close. Well, it is round. It just rolled right out of my hands and just kept rolling. Caught it at the edge of the table. Am I using the GX100 wrong because I used it as my gloss top coat? The GX100? Is that what I showed you? No, you're not using it wrong. That's a gloss coat. I mean, you could use it. Obviously, you're not going to use it for a flat coat, but you're definitely not using it wrong. I'm just telling you the way I've used it. I don't have enough of it to use as a regular top coat. I bought a bunch of the Gaia Note stuff, and I have a bunch of regular GX, or not the GX Super Clear, but I have a bunch of Super Clear in aerosols from Mr. Color that I decant. If I used to decant them all and put them in a jar, and then thin them out accordingly and use them in my airbrush. But I just have one jar of that, so I mixed up a big bottle of it, and I just use it for doing touch-ups for in gloss area that I need gloss, areas with gloss, not big lenses, but small little lights or a lens or something on a model that I want to be shiny after everything's been flat coated. I'll just use that and touch it up. I could use it in my airbrush. I just don't. You're definitely not using it wrong. It's just if that's your go-to, then absolutely go to it. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I'll move this back over here so I can get the right angle to these streaks that are going to go down. Now, what I am going to do at the bottom of this, if you've ever seen an aircraft that has like fuel pods or something on the bottom, of an aircraft, when you get streaking effects, everything kind of collects at the bottom of that, and there's a darker area underneath, at the bottom of that pod or that gun pod or tank or whatever, fuel tank, whatever is hanging. So what I want to do is as I develop these streaks, everything's going to kind of collect on the very, very bottom of this. So because that's where everything, when it rains or whatever gets wet, all that dust and dirt collects at the bottom. So there will be a darker area down here, and that's what's nice about using these pastels, is that I can make these streaking effects down the front of it and then just kind of have everything collect in the bottom here. So there'll be a little bit of a shadowed area at the very bottom from when things run on this side of it and in the front of it. See, and I can just turn this around, and then all I've got to do is just make my streaks come down and meet right across the bottom. I'm just going to blend it all in and rotate that back around. Fish forever. Are you taking off, Fish? Barbados Rex did a review on a new line of paint from Mr. Color. Let's put that on screen. Mr. Color, it is a GGX line, really.
Just white, black, and clear gloss clear and matte clear. Nice. Supposing regulations are causing them to change paint formula. Yeah, I get that because there was a company in California called Coast Airbrush, and that's where I bought my first airbrush and most of my airbrush parts at the time. And I actually still buy replacement parts from them. I just have them shipped up here because there's really not any airbrush specific type store up here that sells, airbrush parts or anything. So I've kind of gone and just been loyal to them and bought my replacement parts. But they also sell lacquer thinner. And when I first moved up here, I bought 2 gallons of this really good lacquer thinner that's good for cleaning your airbrush and everything. And that's pretty much all I use it for, was just cleaning out the airbrush. I don't use it for thinning anything. I used leveling thinner for that. But when I tried to go buy it again, eventually I didn't see it on their website, and then I saw another version of it on their website. So I went to order that, and they sent me an email saying, yeah, it's not compliant anymore. Do you want to switch to this one or cancel your order? I ended up switching to the new stuff. I'm about ready to try it for the first time. I'm almost out of the last gallon of the original lacquer thinner that I bought from them up here. I've been here for since 2016, so almost 10 years, and that's how long it took me to go through 2 gallons of their lacquer thinner, just cleaning my airbrush. And so I'm getting ready to try the new stuff, but I understand the fact when it talks about changing formulas, because EPA, whatever regulations, who was ever making these regulations requires certain VOCs or whatever to be removed, and so companies are constantly changing up their formulas to make it compliant. And it sounds like Mr. Color might have to do the same thing. I have 12 bottles of each coming my way. Well, good. Yeah. No, don't hesitate to use it, Giovanni. It's a great product. The GX line stuff is awesome. I just, like I said, I only bought like 1 bottle of it at one time, and I never continued using it as a regular go-to gloss or flat. I just bought it for that now and then use. So I just have the 1 bottle, and rather than mix it up in something, I just took one. It's almost like a double bottle of Mr. Color, an empty bottle that I bought. They have them. Let me show you. Let me reach across my laptop here. So they have these. You can buy these are Tamiya model, but they have these empty bottles that one of the hobby towns sells up here, and it's like twice the size of a normal, Mr. Color bottle. So I bought that, and then I just thinned out the entire bottle, or at least most of it, with leveling thinner, so I can use it whenever I just need to grab it for a quick touch-up or something. That's what I use it for. Works good. Oh, wait. Did I miss something here? Is that why the aqueous line has been discontinued? Really? The aqueous line got discontinued. Well, that was water-based too, wasn't it? Yeah, maybe that just wasn't very popular, George, but I don't know. I never bought any of it. I might have 1 bottle, but I don't even know if I have that, to be honest. I have to look for it. I know I've got some of the Tamiya lacquer paints that I bought off somebody that didn't want them anymore, so they sent them to me. Just because they don't use lacquer. They use the regular Tamiya paints versus the actual lacquer. So yeah, good question about the aqueous line. I'd be curious to know why. I mean, not that I guess not that I really cared too much. I never really used it, but I never bought it, to be honest. So yeah, I guess I'm just rambling on that because I never really bought any ever. Never found the need. Aqueous lines like Tamiya, if I'm correct. Yeah, it sounds like it. I think it was alcohol-based acrylic. something like that. But anyway, so we're getting down to the last few minutes of the show here. I'm just going to do a little bit more on this one side. I've got to go through and do this tube over here, the one that's the energy cable that's broken. Gotta finish that up. I can do that this week while we're waiting for the next show. George, I know you missed it in the beginning. My employers have decided to change everybody's schedules. So we're going to a 410 system with teams, and it's going to be on a rotation too. So it's not even going to be the same every week. So basically I'm going to have to say, okay, boys and girls, for everybody that wants to watch this show, for the next 4 weeks, it's going to be on this day. And then after that, it'll rotate to another day. And then the next 4 weeks, it'll be on this day. Some of those might overlap. I might be able to have it on the same day. I just don't know yet. I haven't seen the schedule, but it is going to change. And so I'm going to have to do the live stream possibly on different days, rather than every Wednesday, which is kind of pain in the butt. I really wish I didn't have to worry about that, because people kind of look for this regularly on this day, and they know it's on Wednesdays. But anyway, such is life, right? So we shall see how it works. And they're like, well, if we're just going to try it out, and if it doesn't work out, then maybe we'll make some changes. And then it's like, yeah, right. Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. So we'll see. They asked me to be a team leader. We'll see if that goes through or not. If the compensation is worth it, then maybe I will do it. But if not, I ain't gonna worry about it. 410s is cool, but yeah, it blows up consistent scheduling. Well, if it was the same 410 every week, it would be easy, but it's not. It's going to be on a 4-week rotation. There's 3 different schedules. So 1 week I might work Monday through Thursday and have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. And then the next 4 weeks I'll work Wednesday through Saturday, and have Sunday, Monday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off. And then there'll be a split week. Well, I'll have my days off during the middle of the week. So I don't know. As far as pay increases, if I am selected as a team leader, if I decide to do it, it's supposed to have some kind of compensation, yes, to accommodate that. But yeah, I have a hard enough time. I mean, I've been doing this industry for over 33 years, and it's rough. It's hard. I'm 55, and I feel like I'm 65. I'm beat up most days. And at the end of the day, I tried to tell them, I said, you guys, I have a hard enough time making it through 8 hours. And now you want me to be here for 2 more hours every day. Yeah, you got an additional day off, but it's not, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I was opposed to it. A lot of people are opposed to it, and it might not even happen. Maybe if you get enough kickback, they may just go, you know what? It's not worth it. Everybody's, going to walk out if we do this, and they may decide in the end that it's not worth it, and they'll try something different. But it sounds to me like they're going to go forward with it. It's supposed to take effect on October 6th. So for the next 2 weeks, at least, the live stream here will be on the regular show on Wednesday, same time. Don't see any problems there. It'll be in October when it finally kicks in. So let's go back to the outlook here. So I'm going to wrap things up here in a bit. So yeah, we got all the paint and decals done. For those that may have not seen, actually, I can go close up again, and we'll just go around and look at this. So got all the decals on. There's one more here on the visor. There's a couple more under the lens there. You can see those Oh, it's kind of hard to see in the broken section, but there's a white one which is in under the lens there. We got a few on the back. There's a couple back here, a couple around the edges. Not a whole lot of decals on this. There was two different versions of what I could put on the back and the visor here. I chose this one because it has to do with whatever type of ground type Zaku it was. And that's why I picked this one. So yeah, there's a few small decals here and there. But we've got inside, there's some dry brushing. So you can see, let's see if I get it there. There we go. You can see the damage inside. In the back there, there's some dry brushing with a little bit of metallic paint there. So, but then I will adding some pigments inside, so that's going to tone that down a little bit. That was just my initial color I had to put in there before I seal it all up. And then on this side, we've got both exits. You can actually see actually it almost looks like where the hole is. It's kind of, once I get the right angle, you can actually see straight through to where the entrance was. So this is the entrance on the front exit here, with a secondary exit there from whatever splintered off in the inside as things were being destroyed. And then I will do some damage to all the pistons here on the bottom. Everything's kind of pristine right here, but I'm going to do I just kind of pieced everything together, glued what I needed to together, and then I will do some damage and stuff like that. So when that's all ready to go, we'll set it in place and start doing the finishing of the base work. But for the rest of us, I'll go back up here. You know what? Yeah, let me take one more little sip. Doing too much talking. Good night, everybody. Okay, Giovanni, are you bailing out already? I mean, I'm just finishing up. Maybe it's because I said I was finishing up. Good to see you, Giovanni. Thanks for coming in, as always. Let's go back up here to my face. All right, boys and girls. We're going to finish this one up. Anyway, I do appreciate the loyalty of each and every one of you guys that comes and hangs out with me on these live stream. Again, we're going to make some changes in the next month, and I will keep everybody up to speed there in the next couple of weeks and let everybody know what the schedule will be like. At least I should find out in the next week or so. So for the next 2 weeks, regularly scheduled, no problems there. So next Wednesday, one after that is on the 1st, I believe, of September, or excuse me, October. And then on the 6th, we'll start our new schedule. So yeah, we'll see what kind of a cluster, what that turns into. So I'm going to go down the list here and thank everybody that joined in on the chat. And Fuzzy, he cheated. He was here like 2 days ago and said, ready, set, go. Julius was a short second at almost at 5 minutes to 6 tonight. Then Fuzzy was in right after that. Then we had Julius join in, Nick after that. Giovanni came in after that. That was pretty much it until George popped in. At when did he pop in? Where is he? Oh, and then we had a couple from Twitch. Actually, nice to see a few viewers from there pop in and actually join in on the chat. That's unusual. Usually I get spammed all day long from Twitch, but no big deals there. Not tonight anyway. So Fish Forever, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming in. That's a new one as far as I can remember. Thanks again for joining. Tell your friends, smash that like button, like and subscribe, and, make a comment. That always helps the algorithm out. Well, the YouTube stuff is all algorithms. Then we had Painted 3D Prints. We had her come in. Looks like, I guess it's her. It's got a female emoji there. So she jumped in from Twitch. Thank you so much. And going down, I think that was pretty much it. Fish Forever again. Thank you so much for joining in. And yeah, catch you guys next time. Appreciate each and every one of you. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the continued support. And we're getting up there. We're trying to push the YouTube channel.
We got over 6,000 people following me on Facebook, but well, I need to get the numbers up on YouTube. So I appreciate each and every one of you that helps out with that every week. I am going to try to start doing some shorts for YouTube. I'm not sure what that's going to entail. I know oftentimes on the off days when I'm trying to get some work done before the live stream, I forget to just turn the camera on and record it. If I did that, I could probably come up with a few small short tutorials, decals, whatever it is, and do it that way. So I'm going to try to start doing that. It's just trying to balance building and work life, family life, everything like that. It's just trying to get that balance and see if I even have the extra time. And now with the schedule change, maybe I will. Maybe I'll have an extra day off. That's their selling point. So I'll have an extra day off. Maybe I can do it then. But we'll see. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Catch you on the flip.